these, use one of these, go into one of these. Come on, keep going. Two-way. Alrighty. Yo, what is up, Knights? Aegis Rick here, back with some more DFO Charge. This time on my Berserker. A character that I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm surprised is a character that I'm giving any attention to. You know, I got him a Sky Legacy set, I've obviously got him a full Harlem set, and honestly, I got him everything. Well, okay, I didn't get him the best creature or anything like that, but, you know, now I'm farming an Operation Hope set on him, and, you know, I only do this for characters that I care at least a little bit on. You know, it takes a couple months, I think, to farm up this whole set properly, and you have to get kind of lucky. So why am I putting any kind of attention on this character? Because I think back in the day, you know, with the Blitz video or something, I have not been very kind on this character. In fact, I've been a little. I didn't have very much problems back in the day with this character. I was just a little bit frustrated that they dumped him down ever so slightly to Azura levels. And I'm not gonna take back that aspect of this character. I think he is very simplified character. He doesn't have any systems, I think, to his name aside from his risk reward system, which he's always had. You know, this is something I've always kind of appreciated about this character, is that he kind of has a risk reward system in two different ways. Okay, first and foremost, you can kind of see my HP. I have intentionally at the start of this dungeon intentionally reduced my HP down to 50%, which is something he's always had. It's called the Bloody Cross. It's a passive that gives him more speed. It used to give him more damage, now it only gives him more speed, but it gives you more speed the lower you are to death. Up to 50% HP is when you get the maximum speed buff. So it's something that I like using for that reason, and I just kind of wasted my 1A there. But it's just because I like how fluid this guy plays when he has more speed. On top of that, though, guys, he has his First Awakening, which gives him even more speed. His D-range buffs gives him more speed and damage, so this guy's all about speed. And he's, you know, yes, Azura and this character are like brain dead, just cast skill, kill type characters, so don't get me wrong. That's still the same with this character, but I think this character is a lot more fluid than Azura, and, you know, even I would even go so far as to say even somebody like Weapon Master. Weapon Master is fluid, but, you know, when you have the likes of Ghostblade, Weapon Master looks like trash. And honestly, this character feels like his skills don't have as bad aftercast delay. A lot of them can be like set and forget type skills, or just they're so fast that they kind of, you know, get the damage done right away. Like Raging Fury, and as well as the bigger Raging Fury, what is this called? The Burst Fury, Mountainous Wheel, all of these skills are almost set and forget type skills. Outrage Break, you just kind of cast them and they do everything that you want them to do right away. Even this new skill that he got, this grabbing type move, just kind of cast it and kind of gets the burst out. This is how this character kind of focuses. He's a really burst focused type character, and this is something I'll talk about more when I do harder content. So I will be doing some Fiend Wars after this Operation Hope, but just kind of warn you guys that yes, this guy is somebody who's really burst oriented. And a lot of I think I kind of like that about this character, because it makes it really fluid when you're doing this kind of content. You know, you can kind of just, you don't have to dick around with skills with like long startup, you know, animations. They just kind of do what you want them to do right away, which I can appreciate. The one thing that you're gonna notice with burst type characters though is that he doesn't have much in the downtime. You know, I'm using the Mountainous Wheel a lot, and that's kind of my favorite skill to use when I don't have anything else to use. But you're going to notice that is going to be something that's not going to carry you to harder content. So, unfortunately, he just doesn't do very well when it comes to anything that isn't just focused on burst. Also, not a big fan of this new skill. This is a brand new skill, the Enrage type skill. I wonder if the talisman system kind of changes that, but it's kind of antithesis to kind of what I've been talking about with this character. The things I like are how fast his burst moves are. And that move right there, Enrage, cannot be canceled or anything. You have to sit there and watch the whole animation. And it's not very strong, honestly. You can't do anything to end that earlier or whatever. So I don't like using it as much because of it. Hitting with the grab right here. Do love the new grab skill, though. That one is really nice. Just going to I always seem to go the Echoing Cave route every time I have the choice to. Right here, using. I probably can use my Awakening. Which the Awakening gives you a good speed buff. It actually, you know, it has two uses. You can use the sword right away for a decent amount of deeps, but the problem with that is you lose the nice little speed buff that you get for having the sword active. So you'll usually want to keep it active for the whole duration and then you utilize the burst skill. Well-timed burst skill, I should say. We did pick up Gluttony here. Let's see if we can get anything off of it, which we did. We got a D-range belt. So shout out to Gluttony, saving me a whole bunch of frags right there. I'm going to go ahead and use the Awakening here. You do see I do lose the option to have the swords out, or have my speed buff due to the sword. I have recovered a little bit of HP, so I'm going to use my thirst buff to get my bloody cross buff back up, and now it should be a lot faster. So, like I said earlier, this character used to be a lot more risk-reward focused. I think before Bloody Cross gave more damage and only worked at 30% HP. Now it's 50% and only gives speed. So it's a shame he's not as risk-reward, but D-range still gives the defense down, I think. So yeah, he's still a little bit risk-reward. See how our burst works out here. I don't have a lot of my skills available, but should be enough to kill Sisley. And then the two-way could probably kill the White Rust. Ooh, my God. Huge damage. Enormous damage. But yeah, like I said, this kind of stuff is very fluid to me, and I think it's enjoyable because of that. I do have a really strong refinement rate on this character because I've been dumping a lot of resources on him and got my belt. So a little bit closer to finishing my OH set, which I already have my weapon. But let's go ahead and continue on to doing some Fiend Wars content. I know I'm skipping over Tabers today to jump into Fiend Wars because I am going to prove to you guys that it is doable with just a Harlem set and a Sky Legacy weapon, which honestly, if I'm being honest, I think Fiend Wars solo mode is easier than Tabor solo mode. Like I said before, you don't need very high level gear to do Fiend Wars solo. In fact, I honestly personally consider the Fiend Wars solo easier than, say, Tabor solo when it comes to just the sheer difficulty of the dungeon. I guess this is a decent way to learn Fiend Wars, but it's a good way to farm concurrently. If you're doing Tabor solo, you're definitely strong enough to do Fiend Wars solo, and it's good to farm those two things concurrently, especially if you're not already doing Fiend Wars raid mode, because the idea with Fiend Wars is the only reason you're doing it is for the armor set. And once you're done with the armor set, you don't have to, you essentially don't need to farm it anymore. And if you can get a head start on something like that, which is completely time based on, I'm having trouble killing this guy, which is completely time based on something like, you know, however many antimatter particles you can get. It's really nice to start something like that a lot earlier rather than later. And didn't want to take that hit right there. I do have my first awakening. We could just throw it out there. Okay. So, like I kind of alluded to earlier about this guy's problem, and I honestly, I'm starting to like this character a little bit more and more, just with how fluid he kind of plays, just due to the sheer fact that he has a lot of speed. And again, kind of bringing up the point about the katana and how much better it is than other weapon types with this type of character. But yeah, it's the speed, obviously, and something that I really enjoy about the character. But the problem kind of comes with the fact that this guy has a really big emphasis on his burst capacity, and we kind of see that with how I kind of decimated that last guy, where I just kind of unloaded my 2 and 1A back to back, and as well as a couple other skills that are highly burst oriented, and you know, they kind of decimate bosses. But this kind of over reliance on burst skills, kind of, you know, you can kind of see it waning in importance when you realize that some bosses you can't kill, no matter how strong you are. You can't kill them in the one burst rotation. It's really nice when you can. It's really impressive when you chunk out a guy's HP to nothing. This is something that, you know, people like the male striker, the Tyrant, he's able to just go out there and just, you know, Liu Kang kick somebody and insta-give them. But that really doesn't work at higher level content. You know, that kind of burst strategy doesn't really work. And then what do you do in the downtime? And that's where the issue kind of comes with burst heavy classes like this, is that, you know, in the downtime you don't have great skills. And this guy really does fall into that pitfall where he doesn't have great skills. He does not have, you know, he has long cooldowns he has to wait for before he can actually, you know, dish out the big damage again, which is something that, like, okay, what is he doing in the meantime, though? I guess he's just kind of waiting for his cooldowns. That's it. He's just kind of pretending he's fighting when he's not. So I'm not kind of, okay, I'm gonna lose my 1A. I think I cast it a little bit too early there. Got to remember with the 1A is that it actually has a big speed buff while it's active. So something that you don't. It is kind of a transformation. You know how characters have a transformation, awakening. Same thing with this guy. It's kind of like a big speed buff while it's active, and you don't want to use the sword, the blood, or the active of the First Awakening, because then you lose the damage buff or the speed buff that you get from it. So kind of see a quick burst rotation using all my regular skills, not even my Second Awakening, but you know, my last ditch effort after using all those skills is going to be my Second Awakening. If they don't die from that, there's almost no way I'm going to be able to kill, do anything else to be able to, you know, mitigate that, you know. So, I mean, what is that an issue of? Is that an issue of this character's cooldowns, or is it an issue of his damage? And I think it's, you know, I think it's a little bit of both. I think really it's just the cooldowns. There's a reason why at some point in this guy's history I was kind of clowning on this guy heavy because, you know, there was a viable build that involved leveling the level 5 skill thrust on this character. This skill right here, leveling it to max because it was the best skill in terms of deeps. It was the best skill you can cast because you didn't have the cooldowns to do anything else. You had to just keep abusing this thrust skill to be able to do damage, which is kind of pathetic in my opinion. It's like, dude, that's something that's available to every character in the game, and you're gonna have to abuse it for this character because, or not every character in the game, all the Slayers in the game. You have to use it because you don't have anything else. That's kind of sad. That really is sad. Thing that I didn't get to show off is this guy has a really nice and abusive Die Hard buff. It's not really a buff, it's like a last ditch effort at staying alive. It does recover your HP pretty quickly, and I think you can only use it when you're about like 30% HP. So it's something that if you're getting like, you know, residual damage, or if you're hurting yourself when you use the thrust buff like I am, or thirst buff like I am, and I'm doing that to get my Bloody Cross up to give me more speed, but not necessary. But yeah, it's something that you can use to heal yourself back up, which is kind of nice for this kind of content. I have noticed that in harder content like Prey, usually you're not going to want to do that. I should have realized, fighting Schrodinger here. You're not going to want to try to bring your HP down. In fact, for Prey raid, I'm seeing one thing that I've seen, and I'm just going to kind of mention this as an observation, because obviously I've never done it myself, but as an observation, I have seen some Berserkers who have struggled with using their buff in Prey raid. The D-range buff, what it does, it makes you very vulnerable, basically trades defense for offense. And so your offensive buff is kind of tied to you taking more damage than most other people. And I've seen situations where people can't utilize their primary damage buff because they're scared of dying, which is very sad. They don't want to use the thirst buff, which they get a lot of their speed by reducing their HP. This character is all about risk and reward, and for a kind of content like Prey Raid, where you are limited by tokens, where you're limited by, you know, you can't be dying, you know, you got to play it safe sometimes. It sucks that his damage buff and his speed buffs all come around playing risky and dying more often because of it. And it's just an observation I made. You know, I was partying with some, you know, high, very strong Zerks out here, and they're kind of running into that issue where it's like, oh, I can't even use my damage buff right now, because if I do, I run the really high risk of dying, which is, it's sad. That's sad life right there, man. Okay, did 10% right there. Let's see if I can get these counter hits off. Oh man, not a great start. Not a great start at all. Not hitting it at all. Can you get one? Let's try not to die. Okay, one. I'm just gonna edit it so that you guys can see that first time I fucked up. Okay. No, I was hitting too early. Yeah, way too early. Takes some time to get used to, man. Really nice burst rotation. Didn't even need my first or second awakening. That's only if you have all your skills available, you know. And after you use that rotation, you're not going to be doing much else. I would say that a 20-second rotation is probably 15 seconds, probably good enough. But a 20-second rotation to use all your skills is too much time for this type of character. He doesn't have anything to use after that. Just a bunch of basic attacks, I guess. Some Vice going on here. About Vice, he always fucks me up with some gravity bullshit right at the start, and I always get hit with it. I will say this though, Vice is a really cool character. He's not, you know, the one time that I'm scared about his gravity moves and he's not using them. I got my second awakening canceled, man. Why was I so slow there? There goes ton of my damage. Oh god, get out of there. I was gonna try to be cool and use my two-way to. Oh god. Let's go ahead and cast, not deranged, this buff right here. The one that lets me die and still live. Take a fatal damage, I should say. But, man, if I did that two-way would have hit, I'd have been perfectly fine. This is probably the longest quick rebound gimmick in the whole game from Gravity Blast. Good enough. Not as quick as I wanted to, but that's because every single time I fight Vice in one of these videos, it never goes well. Never goes well, man. What element am I? Fire? Oh shit. And don't laugh at me because I don't know. It's because, look, let's be very honest here. I got too many damn characters to remember whose fucking element everybody is. Bloodlust grab is they made it work on grab cannon so that you can grab any enemy and get the iframe for it, which is really nice, convenience type thing. You can just grab him right here and iframe through that attack, so pretty cool. Oh, I froze. Too many cube skills, guys. All right, good. Let's see if I can one rotation this guy though. I need all my skills to be able to try. Okay, this should be good. Okay, use one of these, use one of these, use one of these. Go into one of these. Come on, keep going. 2A into 1A. Nice, okay. I was able to one rotation him, but I needed every single one of my skills. Maybe a few less with my, if I got my 1A damage, but alright guys, so anyway guys, thanks for watching. There was a little bit of Berserker action, a little slower than usual. Usually get like 11-minute runs or something, but not bad with only Harlem set. And like I said, just one death. Really easy to run this dungeon. I'd say Tabor's, you're gonna die more often and it's a lot harder to do. But anyway guys, thanks for watching and I will catch you guys later.